Charlie, we've been reading about all these exciting things going on up at the TCAT Center. What say you?
Well, I don't know this really logistically, anything that I could add was been already printed in the paper, in the Rogersville Review, and I read an article the other day about the Tribune, the instructors, just Bobo's up there, he interviewed the instructors, and that went well, I thought. I like to right out front say that there are individuals in this room, many of you, that work behind the scenes. You're not really looking for any credit. You have helped us with this. Whether it is getting posts delivered up there that we can use for our gate that we don't have to purchase, or getting a field bush hog that makes the entire course area look better, to giving us permission to do this stuff. So I want to thank the Industrial Board for helping us get this program started, because think about it now, you say, well, what is this going to hold a big picture do for industry in Hawkins County? Well, every dollar that we don't have to spend on things like that, we can turn around and put into equipment. And had a conversation with Mr. Jackson the other day about another idea that I had. He was very receptive, and so I just want to thank the board for all your help in behind the scenes, out in front of the scenes, wherever, for all your help with getting this program started. Now, we've got students. We started February the 20th, and it is a very fast-paced class. Folks, that back when I was in high school and such, vocational school sometimes is where you put folks that you really didn't want to fool with. I was one of them there for a while. But now, I'm telling you, the students that come through our school, they need to know what they're doing when they get done. And if you think about it, those of us that went to college, and I probably would have went a different path had I not been pushed. Just let me ramble here for a minute. I probably would have went the technical school route. Well, the big difference is when their students are done, they need to know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Now, you guys that's done college know good and well you can fake a test. Yep. Do an all-nighter and forget it as soon as you walk out the door. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, as far as college, I'm not against college everywhere. But that's what truck driving does for us. Now, we have 2 trucks. We're getting in the process of getting them wrapped. We're in the process of retreading some of the tires already. We want a good product out on the road, and you will be seeing at least one of those trucks on the road probably within the next 2 weeks. Now, that's how fast the class goes. These students are covering 2 chapters a day. I was in the class a while ago. They were covering the pre-trip procedure. And I'm telling you, it's very intricate, very detailed. And the things that we're going over is what these students are going to be tested on. And I've got students from mid-20s to 60s in this class. And so we want, and that's the way it is pretty much across the board for us. But we want to turn out a good product. And there's a lot of work and a lot of sweat that goes into that. And so let me go back to where I started and thank you all for your support in this. Does anybody have any questions about anything?
How many students are in the class at one time?
We can have 8 at a time. Now, right now I have 6. And that 8, because we have 2 instructors, FMCSA dictates you can have 4 students per instructor. Okay? And we had 8, but one had a little problem with their permit, getting it ahead of time. And I'll talk about that just a little bit if y'all let me. But had trouble with that. And then another one, he came to the orientation, had everything done. The next day he decided that wasn't for him, so for whatever reason. So we have 6. It will be a rotation. Now here's the reason it's key that students come to us with their Class A permit. Now we can hit the ground running. We're not getting them ready to go take the permit test because they've already got that. And we can get these students through in the allotted time we have, get them out into the workforce, straight from their class as soon as they pass their regular test. So that's the reason we require that. Everything that we do is governed and monitored by FMCSA. That's the Commercial Motor Vehicle Administration. That's who monitors us first. But then my instructors have TBR monitoring them, Tennessee Board of Regents, and COE, which is an occupational board. So they kind of have to look at all of that. Okay? So we're a little different than a lot of and my instructors alluded to this the other day. We're not in competition with anybody, but we are very particular about what we teach and the way we teach, and what information we give these folks. Now, I don't mind reporting this. A question was asked. I think Mr. Bobo asked me this, probably the first question I got. At that time, I did not know the answer. We have found out that there is financial aid available, and we also have found out that, of course, that would go through a FAFSA and all of that. Any of you who've put anybody in college here lately, you know what I'm talking about. So that is available. It doesn't cover everything, but it does help. And then the Job Center here in Rogersville is willing to help. And so that is a way that there are now some monies out there for these students to get stuff paid for to come to their school and go through truck driving. And the Job Center helps us a lot of other ways too, but specifically on truck driving here. Any questions about that?
What's the job market like for these students after graduation?
We have at least 30 recruits, probably more, that have come to our school and we have sat down and met with. And they have assured us that they will hire our students when they graduate. Because they all had a checklist, they all had a questionnaire, very detailed. It was not a casual just sitting, him hawing back and forth. It was very detailed. People ask me all the time, is there really a shortage of truck drivers? Yes, there is. There's a company in Kingsport that has told me more than once if I could send them 15 students, they would hire 15 students. So there is a need for all kinds of drivers. With a Class A, you can drive anything that's got air brakes, you can drive it. Well, that's an endorsement. That's one thing that and again, we do want to work in conjunction with Hawkins County Schools. Mm-hmm. And I'll backtrack here a little bit. Mr. Jackson and I was talking about that. Maybe a way that we could one of these days be in conjunction with one another, because I don't want students that are training in their school to have to continue to go to Johnson City or Strawberry Plains or Mountain City to get their license, to do the test. We want to be able to do it. That's going to take some time, but we want to be able to do it. So, school bus is an endorsement, but a Class A would allow you to drive that.
The ambition for these instructors and for the school, if I'm correct, is to become examiners, which is a sort of a protracted process, probably with good reason.
Yeah.
And we had a discussion about the old Kingsport packaging plant area where the pad has been left there vacant for a number of years. It actually has 3 loading ramps that might be used by the school for teaching, backing and positioning trucks and that sort of thing. And it has to be of a certain size for which it meets the requirements. So I think I discussed this at the executive committee group and would like to present it as a motion as such, that the school be granted permission to use that site with a little bit of shared maintenance if we need it, until we have a prospect that wants to purchase. I don't want to have it as a contract, but just in an agreement because that's a very prime site for industrial development, and we'll have fewer of them as time goes on, but it's graded level, and I'm sure some industry could work right off of that pad that's already there. So I'd like to present that as a motion that we allow them to do that moving forward, and until we have a bona fide prospect. And maybe in due time, they could construct what they need behind the school once they get a track record. And some help from some of the trucking companies, maybe, and other interested stakeholders in doing this. Maybe the school system could help once they become examiners, which may be a while.
Yeah. Okay, I've got a motion. Do I have a second? We got a second. Now, any discussion or any question about this? Basically, we're just allowing them to use that particular site until we see need of it. It's not gonna change the site. Other than keep it mowed and everything, so it'll be available for, our use and showing to prospective clients and everything as usual. And then they quit using it and do something else. Does anybody have any questions or Carrie about the motion? Here, none. Is
Or
everybody-
Charles.
Yeah, or me.
Okay, all in favor of the motion to allow them to use that particular site, till we need it, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's yours.
I appreciate that. I
Hopefully
really
we
do.
can get, those certified and start doing our testing here locally instead of having to send them off to far reaches to get them, for CDLs and everything. I think it'd be good for everybody in the whole area, so that's great news.
Yes, sir.